Well, it's like, that's how it was in law school. I'd like to call the meeting to order. I'm only 4 minutes late. It's early? All right. Well, I'm officially calling the 2023 Larchmont Temple meeting to order. I'd like to ask Yvette Gorovich, Secretary of LT, to confirm that a quorum is present in person and by proxy in accordance with the bylaws. Great. The first order of business is the approval of the June 2022 annual congregation minutes. Can I get a motion? Andy? Can I get a second? Paul? For those present, can I get a vote for approval? And proxies, Yvette? With the votes in person and by proxy, the minutes are approved. The next order of business is to vote on the slate of nominees for the Executive Committee and the Board of Trustees. Before I do that, I would like to thank Eden Gingold and the Nominating Committee and all trustees and officers who have served and have agreed to serve. Also, I want to thank Seth Bronheim, Sarah Gilman, Martha Friedland, and Stuart Ross for their years of service on the board as they are retiring from the board. We know that each of them will be missed, but also know that they will continue to be active in the Temple community in the years to come. Now, I'd like to present the slate of nominees, which has been provided to the congregation in advance of the meeting. Can I get a motion to approve, elect the slate of nominees for trustees and exec? David Kahn? Can you get it? Andy, second? All people in person want to vote in favor of the slate? Great. And Yvette, the proxies? I'm happy about that too. So with that, we have elected the new slate of trustees and executive committee and officers. The next order of business, it is my privilege that in accordance with the bylaws, that I ask for the approval for the Temple entering into a contract for a new 5-year term for Rabbi Serkman commencing on July 1, 2023. When I asked for a motion at the board meeting for this, everybody made the motion. So I'm going to do the same thing here. Do I have a motion to approve the contract? And a second? Excellent. Do I have any questions? And no, I wanted to know whether there are any questions before I had the vote. Any questions? Now I will ask for the vote. Those in person, the vote? Okay, proxies, Yvette? With that, the resolution is passed. I got a question. It was a little difficult because I'm a Mets fan to be able to, when he was carrying that cup, but I did it anyway. Really, anything would be difficult. Yeah, exactly. Being no further official business, I will move to the President's report. Having served as president for the past 3 years, I've learned that brevity is a virtue. Some here may say that I don't always practice what I preach, but I will try tonight. Last year, I stood up here as I entered my 3rd year. and I knew that 5763 would finally be a return to normal, or at least a new normal at the Temple. I think we exceeded my expectations. We welcomed Cantor Katie Orangel as our new cantor, and the transition from Cantor Scher, who engaged us with music, cultural events, and spirituality for 9 years, has been excellent. As is our custom at LT, we welcomed Cantor Orangel to our congregation, and she has embraced our community, leading us in worship, song, and laughter. With Mia leaving us, our nursery school did not miss a beat with the new leadership of Laura Schreiber as director and Lauren Binder as associate director. We completed the total renovation of the old Axelrod Grant Center with the dedication in April of the new Jacobson Family Chapel. It is beautiful, and it is such a welcome change to the building for our community. So we are a congregation of 809 membership units, and including children, we serve around 3,000 people. 65 new families joined, while 41 families have left the Temple. This year, Kesher enrollment was 407. We had approximately 45 Mazrahim this year. The Larchmont Temple Nursery School enrolled 157 children. We celebrated 57 of our children as they became B'nai Mitzvah, and 13 of our adults just this past weekend in our B'nai Binah program. To keep my remarks short, I ask you to please refer to the annual report that has been posted to the website for details on the past year, including reports from our educational leaders and many committees. It will be up for the next week or so. I would like to express my gratitude to the clergy and staff who have led us in prayer and learning throughout the year. I would also like to thank the members of the Executive Committee and the entire Board of Trustees for addressing the ever-changing needs of the Temple and our congregation. In addition, we could not have done all we did without the leadership and participation of members of our numerous organizations, committees, and task force who provided opportunities for the congregation to learn, socialize, serve, and make a difference in our local community, state, and nation. But most importantly, I want to extend my appreciation to the entire congregation for your support as we have all navigated this year together. I believe we have come through the pandemic stronger than before, and we are in a very good place. It has been an interesting 3 years, sometimes a bit challenging, but I know as I pass the presidency on to Steve Lehman, the leadership of the Temple is in good hands as we continue to work, to quote my wife, to be our best selves. I would like to now ask Jeff Wang, Financial VP, and Jane Sable-Friedman, Executive Director, to provide the financial report.
Really? I think it's actually I'm now the former financial VP.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. You're welcome. So I'm Jeff Wang, the now first vice president of the Temple, and we are very fortunate. I'm going to practice what Michael preaches too, by the way. I'll keep this short. We are very fortunate to have a strong and growing congregation with diligent and incredibly careful staff led by Jane, along with Shara, to ensure that our finances have remained stable and strong. Also, the government has given us a lot of money over the last few years. That has gone a long way. To remain strong in the face of rising costs and in the absence of the government continuing to give us money, which we should not continue to be getting, not expect to continue to get, there are a number of what I would describe as relatively modest steps that we're taking to increase our income. And so, generally speaking, it's a 4 to 5% increase across the board of various items. Dues among them, all except for individuals, which I think have sort of outpaced the market. But other than that, our sort of family and non-resident dues are increasing by about 4 to 5%. Kesher is increasing, nursery school increasing about the same, and the camp tuition. So all of those will result in our income rising, again, roughly about 4 to 5%. We also have about $250,000 from the endowment and spend endowment. As you'll see, if you look at the budget, we actually didn't use most of that last year, which we were incredibly fortunate not to have to. And it's lasted an awfully long time, which, again, incredibly fortunate to have that. But we do expect it's there to be spent, and we should plan to spend it. So that's part of our income. And then you'll also notice an adult programming item on the budget for this year, which is much larger than the projection from this past year. That is because we're celebrating the guy whose contract we just renewed, and the temple, 75 years. So that's going to be a large income item. It's also going to be a large party. Parties. Two parties. Parties. On the expenses side, same thing. 3 to 5% increases pretty much across the board. That's for staff increase, staff salary increases. It's for increased security costs. It's for increased nursery school costs. It's for increased Kesher costs. And in fact, we're revamping a lot of the Hebrew learning in Kesher. So for those of you who have children who are learning Hebrew, they're going to be learning it differently and we think better. So there are Kesher personnel costs. And then the other major cost that you'll see is adult programming costs, because if you're going to have a big party that brings in a lot of money, you've got to spend some money for it, and you're worth it. So those are basically the high-level items. Again, I'll finish where I started. We're just extremely lucky to have such a wonderful, strong congregation with strong finances and an amazing staff to make sure that fakers like me who don't really know what they're doing with the finances stay on track and don't plunge us into horrible tragedy. So thank you, Jean. Thank you, Shara, who's not here. What did I miss? Oh, questions. Yes, sir. Yes, so there were 2 rounds of PPP funding that we got in the initial wave. I think the first one was in 2020, forgiven in 2021. The second, I think, was in 2021, forgiven in 2022. So those were the first 2 waves of funding, and that was in respect of the fact that we had seen reductions in some of the income that we had, so we were eligible for the PPP funding. The new government funding is the employee tax retention. I'm getting different information here, but it's tax retention credit. So that's the third and most recent government funding. But nursery, yes. So we got some substantial nursery school funding, which was to be spent, I think, directly for sort of outdoor programming coming out of COVID. So those are kind of the main buckets of government funding. It will be a pleasant surprise if we receive it in the future, but it's certainly not something that we can plan on. Yeah. Speaking of missed, Jane, what did I miss? Nothing? Really? Wow. I finally get it after a year. So, all right. Thanks, everyone.
Just when you retire.
Yeah.
Me too. I would now like to turn the program over to Rabbi Serkman for the installation service.
You have to stay here, though. You have to stay here. No, I'm not being installed. No, but you have to stay here. What? No, but you have to stay here. So, first of all,
Just presented.
for all the folks viewing from home, it's really it's just an astounding bunch of people here. But it's wonderful. We are thrilled that you are here. Friday night, if you are around, we will be celebrating leadership, specifically that guy who's walking off the beamer there, who's been our president for the past few years, whose leadership was wonderful and whose tenure was unique. Timing is everything in comedy and in life. And Michael walked into a moment, let's say. But we are so lucky that it was him. We'll talk more about that on Friday night. But I'd love to call first the executive committee, incoming executive committee, to come join me on the bema. Michael Nathan, immediate now past president, come on up as well. Yeah, Jim, I don't, Jim in the executive committee? No. You're so close, but you're on the board, Jim. But you're gonna have to be part of it in a minute. Everybody has this? Everybody have this thing? Everybody has this thing? Very nice paper, by the way. All right, right, so look, so you're gonna take the first reading, okay? Right? It doesn't matter. You take the second reading, you get the third, you get the fourth, you get the fifth, you get the sixth. You don't get a reading, right? Intentionally, so. But you do get the Torah. So this is our rite of installation, which is covenantally framed, as you can easily see. And it's actually the same words that we are framing the coming year, the special year of 75 years. It happens to be my double chai anniversary as well. Very exciting. But it really does affirm the foundation stone of what Temple's about. Since our founding 75 years ago, Larchmont Temple has been a place where every person can find a place, open-hearted and outreaching, warm and welcoming, humane and hopeful. We are a community in covenant, aspiring to bring blessing to one another, to the world around us, and to the Holy One of Being through the living Jewish lives, inspired by the ideals of Reform Judaism that guide us. Meeting the call to make a difference, we summon the leadership of Larchmont Temple to the service which makes their charge sacred. I'm going to open the ark, and our immediate past president will pass Torah to our now current. Most of us know that this Torah is a special Torah. It was given by Jerry and Dorothy Kaufman in memory of their two children who passed from this life before they were 21, both in crazy accidents. Jerry Kaufman was the first president after Pearl Belchetz of the congregation, 1951 to 1954. Jerry and Dorothy were gracious members. Jerry would tell the story of giving this Torah to my confirmation class in my early years here. He was a gracious human being, and he would always tell the confirmands at the very end, I gift this Torah to, and we'd hold it, and he would say, I gift this Torah to all of you because you already have it inside. Steve Lehman. You gotta step to the mic, guys. Come on, what are you doing?
All right, I'll hold it for you.
No, he's gotta hold it. He can hold it.
I gotta read something.
You can do a twofer.
Okay. I'm holding and talking at the same time?
Yes.
This job is so complicated.
It's hard.
Rabbi Simlai taught 613 commandments were given to Moses, yet David reduced them to 11, beginning, those who are upright, who do what is right, and speak the truth within their hearts.
You gotta pass over now. Pass over now.
Thank you. Such a little guy. Mika reduced the greatest principles of Torah to 3. Act justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with your God.
Then came the prophet Isaiah, who reduced them to 2. Keep justice and act with integrity.
Amos then reduced Torah's principles to 1. Seek me and live.
Whether I can read it. Okay. Habakkuk 2 contained them in a single sacred saying, the righteous shall live by their faith.
Then Rabbi Akiva countered, teaching that the greatest principle of Torah is this alone: love your neighbor as yourself. I am Adonai.
And all you guys should be in a semicircle over here. Our trustees, if you could stand, our incoming trustees serving for the coming year. No, all the trustees, the whole. If you're a trustee in this coming year, you should stand up. You should stand up. All right? This is our pledge of installation with our president holding Torah. Call to serve in covenant to make this congregation a more sacred place. Call to create community by the connections and commitments you hold dear. We summon you to the leadership of the Larchmont Temple Board of Trustees. Stephen, this is you. Come on up.
Standing upon the foundations built by leaders of generations past, we pledge ourselves to creating a covenant community, embracing every member by extending our hearts, mind, and hands, enabling deeper connection with God, with Torah, and with the life of our people.
If you could pledge, we pledge.
Ourselves to the leadership of Larchmont Temple and to the covenant upon which our service rests, to Torah, teaching and growing through lifelong Jewish learning, to Avodah, searching for holiness by embracing Jewish living, to Gemilut Hasadim, performing daily acts of loving kindness.
And in the most covenantal act, your pledge has to be received and affirmed by the congregation. So, congregation, if you could share. With this pledge of dedication, working together as members linked in living covenant, we affirm. So is your service made sacred, your obligation witnessed in timeless trust, the leadership of Larchmont Temple Har Chaim, 5784. Mazel Tov. Amen.
Amen.
We're going to put the tar back.
Now we?
Yes. I think we're supposed to go to a reception now. Is that true? Michael, Jane, are we supposed to be, where are we going? If you could go to the social hall, I'm hoping it's make your own Sundays, but I'm doubting it's going to be there.